on, vinyl community and Kiss Army? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something completely different. I am going to assemble a 1978 Kiss studio album using the material that was used on the 1978 Kiss solo albums. Now, this is a concept that tends to be revisited by a lot of Kiss fans, and I figured I would throw my hat in the ring and have some fun with it since it is very much one of those big what-ifs in Kisstory. So right off the bat, when it came to compiling the track list for this metaphorical album, I could have simply used my favorite songs from the albums, narrow it down, and that be the end of it. And while it is very easy to go down that route, I decided to approach this idea while analyzing the internal politics of Kiss records of the time. Because let's face it, in most cases, Gene and Paul would get more of a heavy emphasis of the record with their own songs and whether they sung lead on it, and then usually Peter would get 1 to 2 songs tops, and then Ace would get 1. So I decided to make this album 40% Gene, 40% Paul, 10% Peter, and 10% Ace. And considering that most Kiss studio albums of the time comprised of 10 tracks, the math is relatively easy to do. And as I go through this track list, I will be providing my reasoning as to why these specific songs were selected. So enough of the chit chat, let's jump right in. So we are going to drop the needle on side A, track 1, and that is Tonight You Belong to Me. This is a great album opener as it opens Paul's record. Now, most Kiss album openers are very driven and high tempo, whereas this is a bit more mid-tempo, sort of in line with I Want You from Rock and Roll Over. And it's funny that I mentioned that song because that song does have a brief acoustic intro, whereas Tonight You Belong to Me has a rather long acoustic intro. Now, either the acoustic intro can be kept or the song can start right when the electric guitars kick in. Regardless, it is a fantastic song, and when it comes down to most Kiss box sets or anthologies that use songs from the solo albums, this is the one that can be found often. Now we go on to track 2 with Radioactive. Now, this song opens up Gene's record very dramatically with that demonic intro. So I was kind of flip-flopping between this song and Tonight You Belong to Me as the album opener, and obviously this is going to be second in command. The intro very much fits the Demon persona and not so much Kiss as a whole, but overall it is a rather solid song, and this song was performed by Kiss on the Dynasty tour, and they also revived it for one of the recent Kiss cruises. So I think having it performed live by the group makes it a good contender for the album. Now, the intro was completely cut when the song was released as the sole single from Gene's album, and it is likely that the intro would be removed from this album. Track 3, we have Move On, another song from Paul's album and another song that was performed by Kiss on the Dynasty tour. They would actually segue into this song after Radioactive, so I think having those two songs back-to-back on the album is perfect and would also show how they would play them live on the subsequent tour. Now we go to track 4 with See You Tonight. This is a great ballad on Gene's album, very much showing his strong Lennon-McCartney songwriting influences. Now, this is the sole ballad on this album. Very odd for it to come off of Gene's album and not Peter's, but I could definitely see the band doing a very amped up version of the song, or they could simply keep it stripped down as is for the record. And the song very well must mean something to the band because they actually performed this song as part of their MTV Unplugged performance in 1995. Now we close out side A with track 5, New York Groove. Now, it pains me that this is the only song from Ace's album to be featured on this album, but I truly think that Ace's album is the best of the 4 solo albums, and like I said, you have to view the internal politics because prior to 1978, Ace had only sung lead on 2 songs. Shock Me from Love Gun and Rocket Ride from Alive 2. And out of the 4 singles that came from the solo albums back when they came out, New York Groove was the only hit to come out of the 4. So Ace gained that leverage to have more prominence on future Kiss records. And that is why we have Hard Times and Save Your Love on Dynasty. And then you have Talk to Me, Two Sides of the Coin, and Torpedo Girl from Unmasked. So let's just say if this was the main single to come off of this album, then the history writes itself. Now we are going to flip the album over onto side B, track 1, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? This is a great, almost power pop song from Paul's album. Has such awesome swagger to it. This song is definitely favored by Paul because when he did his 1989 solo tour, this was one of the songs that he performed. And to tie it in with Kiss, the band actually performed this song as part of the 6th Kiss Cruise in 2016. Then we go to track 2 with Tossin' and Turnin'. Now, this is the sole track from Peter's album, and I came very close to picking Don't You Let Me Down, since it is that track that is represented on most anthologies, box sets, and such, but I felt that it was a bit too soft to be on a Kiss record. Now, that doesn't mean that the band could do a more rocking arrangement of it, but the reason that I picked Tossin' and Turnin' is simply because Kiss did perform it during the Dynasty tour, and the arrangement they did live definitely differs from the version that appears on Peter's record, but it definitely works. Then we go on to track 3 with Burning Up with Fever. Now we get into some Gene territory here. This song actually dates back around 1975, and it was demoed before Destroyer was recorded, so it definitely goes back some time. And in my eyes, I think this song is a perfect complement to Calling Dr. Love from Rock and Roll Over, because let's face it, doctors, fevers, it all falls under the same category. However, with that said, I probably would cut out the acoustic guitar intros since I feel that it's a bit out of place, but nonetheless, this is a really solid Gene tune. Then we go on to track 4 with True Confessions, another cut from Gene's album, and this is the selection that I had a bit of a hard time choosing because the other contender for this spot was Man of 1,000 Faces, which I personally think is a better song, but Gene has stated that he wanted to name his solo album Man of 1,000 Faces, and that was before each solo album in 1978 was just simply self-titled. But why between those two songs? Just like Burning Up with Fever, both of these songs were demoed around the time of Destroyer. So given that True Confessions is more of a straight-ahead rock arrangement type of tune, it would certainly fit the album well. And now we are going to close out the album with Side B, track 5, Goodbye. This is the closing track on Paul's album, and honestly, the reason why it's the last track is because it's down to the title. It just suits so well. Paul did play this on his 1989 solo tour, and Kiss did perform this song during the 1995 convention tour, but it's also just a fantastic song to wrap up both his album and my 1978 Kiss studio album. So that alone is the track list of my 1978 Kiss studio album, but I decided to have a bit of fun with the artwork. I think for the front cover art, it should have the 4 portraits that make up the solo albums with no band logo or album title. And I think given the height of Kiss's popularity at the time, they could very much get away with having to put their name or logo on the front cover. They're just so recognizable considering the context of the late 70s. And then as for the title, I decided to go within the vein of Kiss Meets the Fandom and call it Rip and Destroy, which was the one new song that was featured in the film. New as in it was basically Hotter Than Hell with different lyrics. The back cover will have the band's logo and album title, and the track list will be color-coded with each member's respective color to tell which song comes from which member. The album will also come in a gatefold sleeve that comprises of the mural posters that came with each of the solo albums, and of course the record could come in either the Casablanca Record and Filmworks label or perhaps a custom label. So that right there is my 1978 Kiss studio album. Now, just to kick it up a notch, I did create a YouTube playlist comprising of the songs that make up this album, and if you want to give it a listen and get a feel for it, be sure to click the icon in the top right-hand corner. Here is a question for you guys, though. Have you guys ever thought of this concept? If so, what comprises your 1978 Kiss studio album? Please leave a comment down below. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video. And most importantly, keep the record spinning.